私がヒロインのゲームなんだけど、
それぞれの夢の色つないでこの空に鮮やかな虹をかけよう。
Looks like it'd be a great addition to the Detour back in the day. For as well worn as its genre is, I think it had a unique design flair that it could have carried forward. Closest I'd imagine it being to something like Delilah and Julius, except, you know, good. Nerdline also seemed like it had a promising premise, enough so that it got turned into a standalone film in 2016. The critics didn't really like that one. There were several other finalists that I'd be dying to see, but the pilots that were readily available gave me a lot to think about regardless. Watching Angora Napkin is kind of like seeing someone else's out-of-body experience in real time, and that's not necessarily a diss. The premise based on Troy Little's comic idea developed simultaneously with the animated pilot follows a trio of girls in a pop band going on crazy adventures. When taken to Teletoon, Little teamed up with Nick Cross to storyboard, direct, partially animate, and create this animated version. The end result is a disjointed but engaging couple of stories sectioned off into a 22-minute package. The most striking thing about this one is the art style. Without being terribly familiar with Little's work beforehand, I could see where the two artists' styles interject and blend. A lot of the key frames and poses don't feel typically functional, but since the style is naturally loose and spread out, the movement design tends to work out okay. Anyway, I can respect the difference in style, especially since it's not something that's jumped at in adult animation, but I don't know if it leaves much to pop out. The girls themselves more or less blend in with the scenery, and despite their loose, expressive positioning, I'd argue that maybe they aren't stretched far enough, if that makes sense. There are plenty of times when they're not on model, strictly speaking, but the dynamics of their posing and staging don't seem too strong. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fun pieces to look at, but to me, they felt more lively when they weren't in motion. It dawned on me within the last 5 minutes of this that the most fluid animation went into the brief musical segment. It's not too radical an idea, I mean, it's been done before, but I felt like there was so much going on in the story that needed the extra animation. Kind of took me out of the experience once I saw the movement design turn on and charm like a switch. Animation used in the rest of the show liberally switched between hand-drawn tween and some weird combination of both. And I think it worked out okay, given the limitations of the pilot, not to mention it worked in service to the more traditional toon style it carried, but I was craving just a few more frames per cycle. The general setup made it easy for the girls to be found in random wild situations a la Looney Tunes, but it's perhaps the best structure for them. I don't think I got a clear grasp of what the central dynamic was, but it wasn't bad. The spread of personalities over Angora Napkin weren't stock, but they were fairly familiar to us. All the girls have a degree of outrageousness that makes the ride a bit more enjoyable.